Hello and welcome to our Insights podcast. I'm Leon Herszon, CEO of Value Edge Group and your host for today. I have the pleasure of having with me Cassandra Worthy. Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I still remember when we met at the PMI Executive Council, really excited with your presentation about change management. And I have your book.
Oh, I appreciate you.
I read it, love it. So I really recommend our viewers to talk. We're going to put the book here on display as well. But can you share a little bit about your story? How it came to be? What is your background? What made you go through change management specifically?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, my work is in change engagement. We deal with hearts and minds, not the blocking and tackling. So, we're elevating change management. But so I'm a chemical engineer by trade. And I spent about 15 years working in more traditional roles in corporate America. It was all in the consumer packaged goods industry. Most of it was at Procter & Gamble. I spent a few years in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio with a company after it got acquired from Procter into Berkshire. But that's the thing. My career was riddled with really big change, these really huge acquisitions that I was a part of, too. Multi-billion-dollar ones, some of the largest ones recorded in the CPG industry's history. Yeah. And of course, with that type of change, what you don't expect, what you don't ask for, comes this pain, this struggle, this what? Why me? And that's really where the seedlings for my work was born. And moving through these big changes, understanding how to lead myself through them. And then by the time I got to the second one, I was an executive and I had to lead my whole organization through it and learning how to navigate and lead them through it. And so all of my work was born out of necessity and also seeing that there was a way to move through tremendous change and transformation and shift and volatility in the business landscape, inviting emotions into the door. Because I grew up in a culture, and I'm sure you're well familiar, where it's an unspoken grit your teeth and bear it. There is a word said at the very beginning that's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, but then it's like, just do the work, right? We don't want to hear your emotions, don't talk about them unless it's excitement, because we have work to do. And I knew there was a better way, because whether you talk about the emotion or not, if you employ human beings, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And either they're in the downward spiral and they're driving your attrition rates up as people leave the door, or you're empowering individuals to use them and harness them to move themselves forward. And so I knew something was broken, and there was a better way to move individuals through change and move myself through change as well.
What do you think was your most significant achievement throughout this entire journey? Could be at the beginning, now. What would you consider?
I honestly think it's been this work at Change Enthusiasm Global and the work that I've been able to lead all over the world, because this started with an idea. It started with an idea, this mindset of change enthusiasm that I've now written into existence, these power skills that we're training leaders all over the world in. They're ones that I brought to life in myself and then brought my people into. And then people started seeing the success we were having, the rate at which we could adapt and the agility that we had, and asking how. And then I started to convey that to loved ones, to mentors, to peers, and then recognizing I can bring this to the world in a bigger way. And then also hearing my intuition that there's something different that you're meant to be doing versus leading organizations and corporate delivering packaged goods. There's something different. And it's that intuition that took this idea and formed it into a keynote message that I started delivering all over the world and built an incredible speaking business. And then that became a book, which you just held up.
Okay.
And then that book became the foundation of this business that we're now scaling around the world. And so for me, it has been the journey that was born from my pain, and the initiative and the agency and the support that I've had in bringing this thing to life. And I honestly feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I'm just getting started. But for me, that has been the most tremendous, and it's awe-inspiring for me. And it's, I'm thrilled every day. I get to live on purpose and do the work that I think that I was meant to do.
That's fantastic. And change enthusiasm is not something that people refer when they look to change, right? And I'm excited. I'm going to have most of us, if we see change, oh, no, thanks. Yeah, careful. I don't want to change. And why is this message so powerful?
Yeah, I love that. Change. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm busy. I'm busy today. Yes, it's powerful because it meets individuals exactly where they are. And I get that, right? I get when I talk about, the message I bring, it's rooted in change enthusiasm, and I get eyebrows that raise. I get people who want to leave because it's like enthusiasm. I am not ready for that. I am struggling. I am frustrated. Don't come in here with this smile. I don't need it. But it's a 3-step approach, right? It's very structured, very framed because I'm an engineer, so I had to bring that. And the first step I call the signal, and it's the recognition and embrace of those difficult emotions that are inspired when we move through change and transformation in every and any aspect of our lives. That anxiety, that fear, that overwhelm, that frustration, that anger, that grief. What are you doing? I love this culture. I'm being acquired by another company and a different culture. I'm losing what I loved, right? And so it starts there. And the power of it is these emotions are a natural inheritance of our species. This chemistry that we have in our body, this is our wiring to adapt and evolve. They shine a light to our greatest areas of opportunity. It's through change we have the opportunity to accelerate our learning, our growth, and become who we're meant to be, right? The better version of ourselves, leading to the best version of ourselves. So the second step is the opportunity. Because when you're getting these signals, that's what they are. They're signals, they're guideposts. They're shining a light to your greatest opportunity. Then you're exploring, okay, what is this thing trying to tell me? I am grieving this loss. What is this here? Why is this here? What is here for me to learn? And then you're mapping all these options out. What could I do? How could I learn? How could I grow? How could I better adapt? How could I better connect with this relationship that keeps making me angry? Something needs to heal in it because I keep getting these signals. And then the final step is the choice. And again, I think this too is its power, is it leaves everyone in their seat of agency, right? You always have agency. You have power when moving through change because you can choose how you show up. You can choose how you navigate and how you experience it, how you identify your own opportunities, and then choose how you bring them to life. And the best part of this thing is that it matches the nature of change itself. There have been so many frameworks from the 20th century that many of us are still employing, like the change curve. They're all linear based. This mindset is cyclical because it's not a 1, 2, 3 and done. It's a 1, 2, 3, and then I get pissed off again, then I'm back in step 1. It's a 1, 2, 3, something else has happened. I'm so angry, I'm back to step 1. Right? It's this cycle. And the more you practice it, the more revolutions you make. You're working these steps. You're growing your resiliency. You're growing your agility and your emotional fluency. And you're able to use these things that we're supposed to be using to adapt and to evolve.
So I think I talk on behalf of a lot of leaders who struggle to manage changes and to get their teams to embrace change, because you just mentioned, what is the first reaction? It's fear, it's anxiety, frustration. What are the most common mistakes that leaders do that really avoid or become a problem when people want to implement changes? They have a team, but they make a mistake. What is that mistake that leaders do? Because it's not an easy step to go from those feelings to embracing, right?
Of course.
So what are the main...
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest mistakes that leaders make is not giving airtime and space for those feelings to be heard and understood. The research that we've done around the world shows that the majority of your employees, they just want to be heard and understood. And when they feel that way, they're more likely to adapt and to adopt to whatever change that you're bringing. And it's not just at the beginning when you're introducing a change. It is throughout the journey, right? Change is constant. And so I think about change as a constant, not as a one-time event or an initiative. There's inchstones, there's milestones, but it's a journey, right? It's constant. It's a journey. And throughout that journey, you have to allow space and time to check in on the emotional landscape of the organization. And so I think that's one mistake, right? There's an assumption, okay, my people are going to be upset about this. Let's talk about it for 30 minutes. They can voice it and then done. Shut up. We got to go. And I've literally had leaders ask me this, Cassandra, how do we just make them get the work done? How do we make them just do the work? And it's a matter of seeking to understand, hearing and allowing them to voice that energy while arming them with this framework. We are all must be sitting in this moment of opportunity. If we're hearing so much frustration and anger and grief, what are the thoughts bringing your awareness into this? This is an opportunity. And then put them in their seat of choice. How will you choose to move forward, knowing that this is an opportunity for you to learn and grow? And of course, how can I empower and support? And so there's a lot of value in these listening sessions, right, where you're listening to the voice of your employee. And then the other thing that I think leaders get wrong, and I think this is something that's been trained in millions of us who are in corporate, who work in business. The higher we go in an organization, the less we can show the more difficult emotions, because it's our responsibility to inspire and to motivate. So we got to be upbeat. We got to be the cheerleader. We got to rah-rah. We got to put on a good face, even if we are in the ground, in the valley. That's a mistake. I think that vulnerability is a true leadership advantage. Vulnerability is huge. And I think when you are moving through tremendous change, the complexity of change that we're facing in modern day, if you can share your more difficult emotions, what you're doing to move that emotional energy, the opportunities that you're really bringing to life, I think that's going to create this conduit of authentic connection to your people. And they're going to know you're human and you're in it with us. You're in it with us.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you go. It's good.
Now, do you think that's the hardest part, is to be vulnerable or is to listen? Because those are very hard, two very hard things, right? For leaders
100%. Well, what's the hardest for you? Well, it depends on the person. What's the hardest for you?
It's sometimes it's to listen.
Yeah. Well, why do you find that challenging?
Because I want to implement things. I want to get things done, and the speed that we need to have to implement things, and that I have now to stop, get this session and listen to everybody. You just mentioned, let's get things done. Right?
Yeah.
I can show vulnerability. I think it's easier for me than wait, to give time.
Wait.
I'm very impatient sometimes in wanting to get things done, right?
Sure. You're not alone in that. And I appreciate your vulnerable share and that sense of impatience. And I know there are millions of leaders out there just like you. And here's what we coach on this one. So there's a concept that we learned from race car driving. And it's called slow down to speed up. Slow down to speed up. It's a matter of slowing down so that you can listen, so that you can connect, so that your employees feel heard and understood. And when you have slowed down to that point, then you can speed up. If you don't take the time to listen, to exercise patience, to really seek to understand, to let people know you're hearing them, you're integrating the data that you're hearing from them, then you're going to try to go fast, and then you're going to fall down. You're going to have mistakes. Then you're going to miss milestones. Then people are going to leave. Then your initiative will not achieve what you need it to as you move through modern day change. And so it is prudent. If people actually want to accelerate and actually want to achieve every stretching milestone that they have, slow down to achieve it. You have to.
Very good. Very good. Counterintuitive for us, right? Slow down so you can go faster, right?
Look, I am the greatest student of every word that comes out of my mouth. Just know, I'm with you.
So with all of that, emotional intelligence, right? How important it is, because a lot of what you say, it's about how we deal with our emotions. And I assume that is the hardest part is go from step 1 to step 2. The step 1 is our natural reaction. We are frustrated. We have fear. To go and see an opportunity on that jump, it's there was a little bit the importance of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, you nailed it, by the way, on the most difficult part of putting this mindset into practice. And you have the book, so you probably have gleaned that is very challenging. Wow. And, this person listening who's going through a change right now, and they're like, how am I going to move from where I'm at today because I feel stuck? And these emotions are consuming me, and all I can think about is punching a wall.
Yes.
That's the only opportunity I see, right, is punching this wall. So it's real. And so, obviously all of this is in the vein of emotional intelligence. There's some incredible work that's been done around EI, around all of this, the facets of it. Change enthusiasm in this mindset, it's about emotional literacy. It's about accelerating emotional processing. It's about emotional self-awareness, right? So being very self-aware of your emotions and then having that emotional fluency so that you can identify and talk about emotions within others. So it's connection to self as well as connection to others. So there's many facets of like standard, if you think about, standard emotional intelligence that this plays into. But thinking about moving from step 1 to step 2, that transition that we call it within this cycle, we call it the bridge of trust. The bridge of trust, that's the mental transition that has to happen to move from step 1 to step 2. And so the bridge of trust is reinforced when you can reflect on times when you have been through the most difficult, challenging transformation and changes ever experienced. And you think back to one thing that happened as a result of you making it through that transformation, whether it be knowing where your strength lies, knowing that you have the strength to get through it. Maybe it's a new connection. Maybe it's a new skill you didn't know you had. Maybe it's a passion that was awakened within you. And allow those things to be those seeds of trust, because when they start growing, that bridge is reinforced. And you'll feel that frustration. You're in step 1. Ooh, I am frustrated. I know it because of my emotional self-awareness. I know my physiological cues. My mouth is going dry. I feel like punching a wall, and I cannot stop balling up my fists. Frustration is in me. It is here. Now, I'm going to give myself grace, and that's what step 1 is about. It's about reflecting, acknowledging the emotion, taking time to sit with them, thanking them for being there with you, being your guidepost, being your signal. And then you're traversing over this bridge of trust. I have been through something like this before, and I survived, and I was stronger because of it, and I made that connection. So I'm going to get to this opportunity because I know something's in store for me. I'm trusting something is in store for me, just as it came to me in these other challenging experiences. That's how you can move to the opportunity. But give yourself grace, right? The mindset is not about speeding from number 1 to number 2. Yes, the more you practice it, you're going to be able to get through that a lot quicker. But it's also about giving yourself the grace and the time to really listen to what these emotions are trying to tell you so that you can really have light to where your greatest opportunities lie.
Yeah, you just mentioned something that brought me to one exercise that you have on your book that I really appreciated. A gift to your future self. Yes. I love that one. You write something about that you're going to write to a future you, and you ask questions when you overcome a significant and stressful challenge, share the reason you're better because of that. And man, I love that. And by the way, for our listeners, again, you have to read the book, right? What brings you joy? Those things are so invaluable. And I think that's what makes the process successful, in my perspective, is because it's practical.
Yeah,
100%. Practice, right?
100%. And I'll tell that person listening now who's struggling, leading 29 different changes across work and personal, that the way that we move through change is so much dependent upon the stories we tell ourselves. The stories that we tell ourselves about our ability, about our agency, about our ability to maximize and see opportunity. And that exercise is a way for you to start telling a different story, right? You are defining a narrative of authentic success. and one that you can hang on to as you move through this change. And so I feel that is the power of that exercise. It's also one that I do all the time. I don't know how many notes I journal. I'm an avid journalist. It's a spiritual practice for me. I have about 20 of these filled that I filled over the past 10 years. And I write notes to my future self. And it is such a reward to come back and read them. Right. And again, it's rooted in what is the narrative that you're going to define for yourself as you sit here right now with these 29 changes, you're feeling the overwhelm. What's the narrative you're going to tell yourself about where you're at in 8 months?
All right. Look into the future. Let's take a look into the future now. What trends you see in change management that can actually improve or impact what we are going on? And of course, a follow-up question after this one is about AI. But let's take AI out of the equation now. And let's look to other trends that can accelerate what we can do with that or actually impact negatively what's happening.
Yeah, I love that the follow-up to this is AI, because I think a lot of the things that need to evolve in change management have to do with what AI is bringing the world and will continue to do in the coming decades. And so I love this question because it's a part of the core of the work, right? So we are looking to reimagine what change management means and looking to create a parallel body of work and study that supplements where I feel change management has been lacking, honestly, for years. So many leading solution providers have flaunted human-centric. In change management, we're talking about managing the people. We're very human-centric. And yet, emotion has never had its rightful place in the change conversation. There's a lot of emotional intelligence out there. Emotional agility. Love the work of Dr. Susan David, Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, who's an incredible neuroscientist, studies emotion. A lot of that is out there, but in the context of change, and as you're moving through these transformations and this hypergrowth and contraction and putting 29 change objectives on your employees' plates, the emotion hasn't been a part of the conversation. And I think that's the evolution that will be required if industries, companies, organizations want to remain relevant. And that's the center of our work. It's creating space for the emotion. It's creating pragmatic frameworks, research-backed, that people can engage in, can involve, where it's supplementing the blocking and tackling of standard change management. You got to have the comms plans, you got to have the milestones, you got to have the schedules, you got to have the roles and responsibilities. But then what about the fuel that's going to move this beautiful car that you've just built? What about the fuel that's going to move it forward? That's what we're doing. And I've actually created a new category called change growth. And it's about empowering people to grow through change. And it's about change engagement, engaging people through it. I think that's what's going to be critical as we move forward, because AI is going to create an incredibly complex, changing world. It already has. And the pace of change is on an exponential curve.
Yeah, exactly.
And that means the emotional complexity of your organization is going to increase. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? That's the question that has to get answered, and that's the work that we're laser focused on doing.
Yeah, because when you mentioned about some acquisitions and some changes, that usually the time frame is a little bit longer.
Sure.
With AI, man, it's head spinning. You don't even have time to breathe. You started with that change. Wow, it changed tomorrow again. So how are we dealing with that speed? Because when we talk at the beginning, give time for people to understand the change, to be able to see the opportunity, but that time is being robbed from us now because it's like this.
Yeah.
Time, right?
Yeah. I get it. And it can in some ways be robbed from us, but we can't allow too much of it to get robbed. We still have that power to still slow down. And I still think that it's important that we do, because as much as these AI tools, these AI bots, soon we're going to be co-evolving with AGI, which in and of itself, I believe is a new species. We're still going to be able to still need to lean on and amplify and empower our humanity. And so that still will take a little bit of time. But here's the fruit of the work that we're bringing. One who practices this mindset and the power skills that we bring will have the ability to enjoy self-actualized growth at the pace that the world is evolving. They're going to be searching for the opportunities. They're going to be looking to maximize these opportunities. They're going to be looking for them. Where are they at? I know they're for me. Ooh, I'm frustrated. Okay, that's my signal. Where's my next opportunity? It's coming, right? And so they're going to be able to accelerate the pace at which they process those emotional signals. That's what we have to embed and enrich within our humanity. And the other thing that I'll say on this one, and shout out to Dr. Rebecca Hayes, who's one of my good friends, an incredible colleague, incredible thought leader. Her work is all around fear. Fear and curiosity cannot coexist. They can't coexist. And I believe that curiosity is the real currency of agility. Agility, right? When things are moving so fast, get curious about what is this that's moving? What's happening and why? How do I stay ahead of it? How do I use this for my benefit? How do I use this to make the organization move faster? Stay curious as you're moving through it. That is going to accelerate your agility as well. But honestly, that's why I feel a sense of impatience with the work that we do, because it is a necessity if humanity wants to remain relevant. It's a necessity. And I need the world to recognize it. And we're slowly doing that. I just want it to be faster.
No, and I love that, because I think if I understand what you're saying, you ignore the noise. Even though it's very fast, give the time to get together, to listen. Doesn't matter how fast it is. It's not an excuse to skip the process, right?
I'm telling you. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to sprint and you're just going to be falling. Get up, fall. I got to move. You can't get your legs under you. You fall. And it'll be a mess.
Yeah.
It'll be a mess. You got to take the time and start giving these people this mindset, this framework, these tools, this research, the practice, their certifications now, because it's a practice. And the longer you practice, the better they're going to be.
Better become.
Right? So we got to start today, because the pace of change is only getting faster with every day that passes. So these people got to start practicing this now.
Do you see any positive aspect of what AI is bringing? Because I do believe that we are witnessing a very strong shift in our society as a whole.
Yeah.
In the in-between times, it's not as it was before, and it's not as it will be. We don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Do you see any positive outcome from this?
I do. And I'll speak about this from a personal standpoint and the way that it's impacted kind of my life and my business. And I'll give an analogy to what I see this thing doing. I feel that it is removing a lot of time commitment in getting certain elements, certain parts of the work done. It's taking care of all of that. And what I am finding is so much free time. So much free time. And it's like these tools that are boosting the potential of my efficiency and unleashing parts of my brain where my creativity lives, where my tap to my creative source lives. And it's just wide open because I have the time. Right. And it's also allowing me to get creative on, how do I use this tool? It's doing this for me, but maybe it can do that. Yeah. How do I design it so that it could do this? Right. So my creativity feels so unleashed. And the analogy that I'm beginning to understand is when I stepped into my sobriety. So I'll be sober for 11 or 12 years in November. I'm fond at the fact that I lose count now. That's a good thing for me.
Good.
But when I quit drinking, the amount of time that was freed up in my brain was incredible. Incredible, because every day I was thinking about, what am I drinking? How am I recovering from my drinking? What other drinks do I need to buy? Where am I going to drink? Who am I drinking with? That filled my mental capacity. It was all my work and then drinking. And so when I didn't have that anymore, I had the capacity to build a business.
Wow, look at that.
that's how Change Enthusiasm was born. I had the clarity, this intuition then became a shout. I had the time to pour into a bit of a side hustle that was just a passion, right? It started as a curiosity that became a passion. But because of that time, I created my business. And so now I think about the time that's being freed for millions around the world. What will we create? What will we co-create with these incredible agents, with these incredible tools, using our own agency?
Yeah. Well, that's, and I think you also saw that in your experience. A lot of companies who did not innovate, they were afraid of changes. Yeah. And they were left behind, or they're struggling because they couldn't make those changes, right? And I think that aspect of looking to the change as an opportunity and help you to survive in today's very competitive world, it's crucial, right?
It's crucial. For me, it's an imperative.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose relevance.
I don't think there is a single company that is immune to disappear.
100%.
Because they don't innovate, they don't change. They want to keep the same thing. They are afraid that they cannot move from step 1 to step 2. They stay on that feeling, and that's what drives them, right?
Yeah. And the thing that is ironic and something that I just love about the work that we're bringing to the world is that we are relying, as the world is evolving at a faster pace, change is getting more complex, more changes everywhere, we're relying on what is unchanging, which is the internal aspect of our humanity and these emotions that will always exist. We're relying on that to use it and to help us propagate, move forward, accelerate. It's an exciting time.
Nice.
It's really exciting time. Yeah.
All right. Reaching close to our end here, but I have a couple questions I would like to ask you. What do you think are the top 3 skills that every leader needs to have to be successful in today's world?
The top 3 skills to be successful. For me, they're power skills. Many, many years ago, and even myself have called them at one time soft skills. They're not soft. They are power skills that everyone needs. But I think the biggest one is this emotional self-awareness. I really do think that the greatest leaders of our future will carry a significant amount of self-awareness, and their emotional energy and the energy they bring into a room, the impact of their energy on another, what's creating that impact within them, emotional fluency to talk about that emotion. I think our greatest leaders will have that. And I think under that umbrella comes things like vulnerability, comes things like the power of empathy, comes things about nurturing authentic connection, empowerment. I think all of that kind of cascades when you have some emotional self-awareness. I think the other thing that will mark a great leader of the 21st century and beyond is a strength in curiosity. That strength in curiosity. And I talked about it, how I really do think it's the real currency of agility. A leader who can stay curious about what's next in the business, who can stay curious about what is lighting my people up, like what brings them that effervescence, like where is their passion at? And then how can I align the work that needs to get done to what lights them up, right? That curiosity. I don't think it's the leader that has the best solutions that's going to champion the world or champion the future. It is the one that asks the best questions.
Nice.
And that's fuel that's rooted in curiosity. Those are big ones. I guess the third one will be this whole sense of agency. The sense of agency and knowing that no matter how big, how many, the magnitude that's happening in the world, I always have agency. I always have a choice. I always have the power to step into a space and choose how I show up, choose how I lead, capitalize on an idea, maximize my impact, empower somebody else. It's the leaders who never lose their sense of agency that I think are gonna lead. Yeah.
1 or 2 books that you would like to recommend besides yours, of course. I'm gonna again put it here so our viewers can see.
Yes.
Enthusiasm, Cassandra Worthy. A couple books, so 1 or 2 books that you thought were influential for you.
Yeah, for me. So immediately what sprung to mind is Charles Duhigg. That was one that was really powerful for me to think about the way the mind works and we're creating habitual behavior. That was one that was an early read for me in my early days of sobriety, which was helpful. And it was an influence, honestly, in Change Enthusiasm. I know so many incredible authors.
Yes. It's a hard question.
It is a hard question, who have created so much incredible work. So check out Dr. Rebecca Heiss. She has an incredible book. Check out her work. Tasha Eurich just created a new work called Shatterproof. Check that one out. I'm going to have to send you a list.
Yeah, send us a list. We're going to post here.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
And Cassandra, final thoughts to our viewers.
Final thoughts. I believe for you, sitting here listening, you've got a lot of change on your plate. Trust me, there's more coming.
Yes.
What I want you to trust and believe in as you move through the next months and years and progressing and creating this life that you want, you never will lose your agency. The only person that can take that from you is you.
Yeah.
So choose to maintain it, because you are always in a seat of choice. You have choice on how you show up, how you experience how the world is evolving, how you take part in it. You will never lose your agency. So go off, thrive in that agency, and continue creating the life that you want.
Cassandra, thank you so much. Love it. Really nice conversation. I look forward to our next opportunity.
My pleasure. You're incredible. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.